On the evening of December 27th, 1984, a 16-year-old boy named John Boulware sat in the passenger seat of his best friend's Jeep as they drove down a residential road in St. Paul, Minnesota. John's best friend was driving, and two more of their friends from school were in the back seat. They were all talking and laughing. It was dark outside, and it was rainy and kind of an awful night, but John didn't care. He was way too excited because that night, he and his buddies were on their way to see the megastar musician Prince perform live. This was a particularly big deal for John and his friends because Prince was actually from Minneapolis, Minnesota, which was just 20 minutes away from St. Paul where they were from. So it was kind of like they were going to see their hometown hero. Now, John and his friends didn't expect to become, huge rock star gods like Prince, but there was just something about seeing, this hometown guy achieve his dreams on an international scale. And so John, with all this excitement, he turns around to talk to his friends in the backseat. Right as he turns around, he hears a loud screeching sound, and he whips his head back around just in time to see the headlights of the car aimed at this tree that they're careening straight towards. They smash into the tree, and everything goes dark. A few minutes later, a St. Paul police officer named Brian Coyle and his patrol partner pulled up behind the now wrecked Jeep. Now, when Coyle stepped out of his own car and walked towards the wreck, right away he saw there were three teenagers who were standing upright outside of the car. Now, they looked pretty shaken up and they visibly had some cuts on their body, but overall his assessment was they were basically okay. And then the driver said his friend John is still in the car and he's not moving. And so Officer Coyle left the teenagers and told them to stay put, and he walked over to the wreck where his partner was, and Coyle, he knelt down and he looked inside the Jeep and he saw the other teenager, John, slumped over inside the passenger seat. And he wasn't moving. So Coyle asked his partner, "Hey, have you checked him? Is he okay?" And the partner looked at Coyle and just said, "No, he's dead." Once the ambulance had taken them away, and once John's body had been removed from the Jeep, Officer Coyle and his partner began to document the scene by taking photos of the crashed car with a camera. Now, this was all standard practice, and so while they did it, they didn't think anything of it. However, about a week later, when Coyle and his partner were reviewing the photos they took, Coyle noticed something shocking. One of the pictures that Officer Coyle had taken was so bizarre that it ended up in newspapers, not only in Minnesota, but all over the country. Even today, 30 plus years later, people are still talking about it. And when you see this photo, you'll understand why. This is the photograph. And if you look at the top right, above the Jeep's open door, you'll see something that could just be a flash of light. But to Officer Coyle and so many others who have looked at this photograph, they say that weird apparition-looking thing above the Jeep looks eerily similar to John Boulware's face, the 16-year-old victim of the car crash. And it almost looks like this photograph captured the moment of John's spirit departing Earth, like it's showing his final moment in life when he died, screaming as the car is about to crash into this tree.